hills of Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of your six-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, May 1st. That's right, it's gonna be May. It's time for the LA Galaxy to head on a 3-game road trip that will take them to Sporting Kansas City, have an MLS Cup rematch against the New York Red Bulls, and finally a midweek against the Philadelphia Union. All three games leading into what is still their 10-game winless streak. So can they find one on the road? To help me do all that, we're glad to have him back. It is Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Eric, how you doing, bud?
Well, I'm doing great. The Galaxy not doing so hot. You know, we're having some crazy weather here in North Texas, some tornadoes, some swirls, some flash floods. So maybe the warning signs are starting to flash for the LA Galaxy this season. Are we getting the floods? We digging a hole and a pit too deep to the point where we're now pulling gimmicks on the podcast?
Oh,
I don't know if people could see. Yeah, go for it. Explain it.
Full gimmick mode today. We are attempting to, and in no uncertain terms, we're attempting to break said curse of whatever mojo is happening. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, which, by the way, very serious. First of all, we're here for you. If you ever need anything, reach out to us, right? We do care, absolutely 100%, but also just for the mental health of everybody involved here. The Galaxy need to win something here, all right? This is getting a little... Listen, I get it. You get punished for winning an MLS Cup. You would have done the trade, right? Everybody's like, I would have done the trade, still would have done the trade. Hold it. But we're getting to the point where it's like, yeah, but there has to be something in this season that is going on. So I'm currently dressed as Greg Vanney. Technically not, because let's all remember that we thought Greg Vanney wasn't wearing a shirt underneath his blazer whenever he was in Seattle. It was a fake out. It was just the sweater was a similar tone in that light or in the broadcast, because whenever I saw it after it in the postgame, definitely a sweater, no doubt about it. But I decided to recreate the Greg Vanney look if he chose not to wear a shirt, which of course he did. But that's still we're going. So
that's LA Galaxy fan fiction. What we hoped Greg Vanney would be wearing to really kind of make things special was that. That's back when Twitter was a fun place. Remember that?
Right.
When it was a good time. And I think right now the 100 men versus a gorilla is kind of Twitter getting its mojo back. That's kind of the fun that things used to be. But back then, interacting. What's Greg Vanney wearing? Is it the scarf? Is it the nude sweater? Is he fully nude underneath? So what exactly is happening here? So those bring you back to simpler times, more fun times. Picking apart the Greg Vanney wardrobe. Now we actually have to worry about the on-field results, not what's happening on the sidelines.
But there's more important things here as well, Eric, that we have to. We haven't lit our candles yet, so we need to light our candles.
Do we start the show by lighting the candles?
I think we have to. I think we need to cleanse where we're at. Now, you and I both. This was not meant to be, but we both have these little what are these plasma lighters that we have?
Electronic lighters. So again, you just plug them in through the USB. Josh is like, hey, have you seen these? I was like, have I seen those? I've got these ready to go. So
they're right here.
We're going to light our candles, our incense ritual here. Are we ready?
Let's see. All right, let's do it.
Full gimmick.
I almost lit things on fire last time I tried to do this. I would just.
It is going to be awesome when we make MLS headlines local podcasters.
Yeah,
Burn houses down.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
there we
okay,
go.
we're lit.
And
It's
then did we have to renounce the name of Mark Delgado, or we
rebuke you,
Yes,
LAFC and Mark Delgado. We
there-
rebuke you.
There you go. Okay,
There we go.
That should
All right.
that should do it. In the house of the Lord, right? That's where we're at right now. Trying to get back. Dejan Joveljic coming up for the LA Galaxy, of course, is something we have to watch there as well. So, I don't know. I'm working on the mic levels. Apparently, your mic is low and mine is high, and nobody really knows why. Because
Sometimes, Skype's dying. We're going to switch to T. Who knows? It's all falling apart. The Galaxy are winless.
It feels
the mics are low. Yeah, we'll figure it all out.
It feels. Can I get is it better now for everybody? I've been working on the behind.
We rebuke you. Is that I'll see if I really lean into it. Maybe I really get up on.
I think you have to swallow it. No, don't
get right up in there.
That's not what we're trying to do.
Pull
All right,
a
there
real
you go.
Brett Kirshner.
All right, so mics are good now. Okay, good. I think we mostly have that problem solved. Good. One thing after another. We are awesome. By the way, if you don't have these electronic lighters, what are you doing with yourself? What do you got to get? You hit the button. It gives a little. That's not supposed to smoke like that. I think maybe
Looks really cool though.
I was using them to light fireworks last 4th of July. I think that may have been a thing. Maybe that was too much work for the electronic things. Let's see. Pottermus, by the way, says, hello, everyone from Anchorage, Alaska. So we have somebody all the way up in Anchorage. That's nice. Here is my concern about the LA Galaxy, and I don't think this is unfounded. The LA Galaxy going on a 3-game road trip now. It's difficult to win on the road in Major League Soccer. We always talk about that. It's difficult to do it, especially whenever you're going to go on a 3-game road trip. Now, first of all, the Galaxy will fly to KC. They'll fly back. That's not a problem. I think the next one is whenever they go out for the Red Bull game. That's when they're going to stay and wait on that side of the country, so that way they can play Philadelphia and then come back. Would have been a good time to go to the White House. Just saying, like you're on that side of the things. If they were going to get invited, I don't.
Have we looked at the schedule? Do they play DC this season?
They don't.
They
I don't think they do.
Okay,
off the top of my head,
I would think the bigwigs at MLS headquarters HQ would say, "Hey, the Galaxy won. Let's schedule an away trip to DC United." But who knows how the scheduling gods work? But you're right. It does seem like it would make sense if it seems like they're going to make that trip at some point. That this could be an opportunity to make it, but we'll look through the schedule. We'll see when else those opportunities could present themselves.
But they will be on the East Coast, so they're traveling. So what are the chances the Galaxy come back with their first win of the season? I'll be honest, the game against Sporting Kansas City is a team that is not that much better than them right now.
Yep.
And so that this game coming up on Sunday really is a good chance for them to, I would hope, find something in what they're trying to do, right? Like to find sort of the root. Now, if the groove can be found, if the Emperor gets said groove back, then the LA Galaxy could beat Sporting Kansas City. And then you're like, oh, now it's on.
Build on that.
Yeah.
Build on the feeling. And so, but you're right. You kind of mentioned it when on Monday's show, your solo show, we were saying when the schedule gets a lot tougher when you're the worst team because every team you play is better than you. Yes. So a winnable game against Kansas City, who's sitting 14th in the West, 27th overall, and you think, hey, this is a winnable team. Hey, technically they're the better team in the standings. When you're 15 out of 15 and 30 out of 30, your competition's still going to be better. But brace yourselves. We'll preview the game a little bit later.
Yeah.
We're talking number 14 in the West versus number 15 in the West, 27 in the league versus 30 in the league. So, there's if there was ever a time for the remote broadcast to be brought in, I think this is going to be one of those games where they probably don't send the A team to us.
Barn burner. That's all you have to know. By the way, executive producer Herb in there with an $18 super chat. Hey, Josh.
Already?
Hey, Hammer.
Herb.
Yeah, if Galaxy wins, you guys will have to do this weekly. Yeah, that is true. We have now put ourselves in. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. We'll survive on it. It's Chris, $5 super chat. Have you all noticed Zonko's name is never actually announced before the start of the home games? What's up with that? Any insight? Yeah, because it's only one name, and when it's one name, that Michael Araujo, our good friend Michael Araujo, name drop. He won't say the name, right? It was like Juninho. He wouldn't say Juninho. Yeah,
funny story too. Talking with Mike Araujo when he was on the announcer, it's like, well, do you say the first part? And I think when you count out the syllables in Juninho, it's probably not best. Michael Araujo shouts that into a microphone, so people might not figure it all out.
No.
So again, the pattern has been set, but that's the explanation right there. When there's one name, you want the crowd to chant it because there's not a second name to say.
No, 100%. My wife, by the way, whenever I got dressed for this, she was like, "That's very Bert Kreischer of you."
Yeah.
So I did think I would tell you about the time I was in Russia, but we'll save that for another time.
The machine, La Machina.
Yeah, I'm way too dressed for Bert Kreischer. The shirt would be fully off if that was the case. So, Galaxy. Here's the thing. It was funny. Does this feel like 2023 all over again? Somebody brought this up, and I was like,
worse.
It does.
They hit. To be fair, they did hit this type of stretch, but it was in the middle of the season.
Wait.
But very similar.
Wait. 2023 only had 3 more points than the LA Galaxy do right now through 10 games. So does it feel all that much different just because they had a win or two? Does that make it feel better?
Yeah, it's very much 2023 vibes. We keep saying it, and I don't know. After that Portland game, and I know last week when we did our guaranteed to be wrong previews, people were saying, Hammer's funny, with those jokes about being blown out. You were giving me a hard time. It's like, funny how? Funny like a clown, or funny? Am I here to amuse you? Doing my Goodfellas reference here, but I saw that happening where it can go really sideways. But the Galaxy once again fought back and made that game maybe closer than it needed to be. And when you say about 2023 and kind of packing things up, and I know 2023 was the year where I kind of halfway through I said, you know what, let's just throw this season away and let's put all our eggs in the 2024 basket. That was kind of my mantra in 2023. And this is starting to get those feelings where, if you want my hot take where, we're going to clip this and get the AI software to do the subtitles over this one, is the 2025 LA Galaxy season over? I think you're bounced from the CONCACAF Champions Cup. You dug a hole that's probably too deep to get you into the playoffs. So you could say to yourself, but hey, they're only 10 points out. They can make 10 points up. But then you think about that's for one team. You now need 6 teams consecutively to all drop 4 games in a row. And that's not going to happen because they all have to play each other. And so they're going to get points out of each other. So I think at this point, it's 10 games in. Is it crazy to say? But it's now getting that team chemistry working, staying relatively healthy, and then reevaluating, in the summer and possibly the offseason. Here, it's May 2nd, and we're saying, the Galaxy season could be done. And that's a crazy thing to say, but I think there are a lot of people who are feeling like, man, it might already be done. It could be over. The season could be over now.
My whole thing is, if you're looking, I think some people would say, yeah, hey, I want it to be done so that way I don't have to deal with this anymore, right? There's certainly, I think that's the biggest frustration right now. It's sort of like, can this season just be over because that way I don't have to pay attention to it anymore? Because right now there's too much pain and suffering. I still think, and here's the thing, in 2023, I thought they had a good team. The injuries just never let them get healthy and do all the stuff. And then you add into it the boycott, you add into it Chris Klein and the whole deal. So there's a lot of things.
External factors.
Yeah, there's some external factors, but the injuries were a key part of that they could just never get going. And that's sort of what I'm wondering about this team. I'm wondering if they're going to be in the same position where, for whatever reason, the injuries just don't allow them to get going. They never seem to build momentum. Edwin Cerrillo's on yellow card warning. I sort of worry about that, which is like now you're going to start losing guys because you get yellow cards, right?
And it happened with Zonka, and that's what makes me think of the 2023 season as well. The injuries were one thing. Then you get someone like Douglas Costa back from injury, and then he gets red cards. So it kind of is following that same patterns. It's either health or suspensions. Yellow card accumulation adds up. Red cards, silly red cards that end up costing you points in games, and then you miss players on top of that. It feels like that's the thing where the Galaxy maybe, never get over that hump. And talking about 2023, and we say it all the time, that team with our eyeballs did not feel like a 13th place team. I think the more we watch this team play, I think the less I feel confident saying, hey, this is a good.
Do we lose Eric there? We may have lost Eric. We'll see. There he is. Go ahead. We lost you. You're back.
I froze at sea.
Yep.
Again, I disparage. I say the season's over, and then.
Yep. They try cutting everything
the
out.
AG overlords are probably coming in to get me. But what I was saying, I don't know if it picked up, but basically the 2023 season, we were saying how this team is a good team with our eyeballs. But the more this team plays, the more I start to doubt, is this team really that good?
Right.
Are they better than maybe, or are they not as good as maybe we envisioned them to be? On paper, we feel like they can be good, but the more we watch them play, the results are not matching what we think they could do. And at some point you have to start to believe the results. And so that's the thing that's jading me a little bit, is as the season goes on, I become less and less likely to say, hey, this is a good team. It's just injuries. It's just this. It's just that. I'm leaning more into the camp. Hey, maybe this team just isn't constructed properly. Maybe those elements that were let go or that are injured are just too many of those little magical pieces that are the hinges that make everything work. And I think that's the thing that, as the season goes on, makes me more and more concerned.
Yeah, I want to see. I've expected things to develop, right? You wanted to see Sanabria develop, and now you're like, in the last game he didn't start. Now, interestingly enough, when the Galaxy started playing well with Marco Reus on the field, Sanabria was brought in as a 6, and I'm sort of like, hey, I don't hate him at the 6, so maybe that was a lesson learned there. Greg was starting to throw spaghetti against the wall, right? Let's see what sticks. Let's start to do that. For me, watching the LA Galaxy play in the second half with Marco Reus out there, with them scoring goals, with them being able to play the ball on the ground, to get Joseph Paintsel pointed in the right direction and Gabriel Peck pointed in the right direction, that is the way the LA Galaxy need to play. And so that means that they need Marco Reus on the field, and that means that you're gonna have to rely on Marco Reus. That's what the Monday show was really about. Was can Marco Reus be that guy? And I have big questions about. I think he can be the leader. I think he can be the spiritual leader, the mental leader, the guy on the sideline. I think that whenever he comes into play, he can absolutely be a game-changing player that is creative and thoughtful and takes care of the ball. He doesn't play a lot of defense. I don't think you're really paying him to play defense, just like Ricky Puig. You weren't paying him to play defense. Yeah. So that's something that you can live with. And then how do you how do you set the rest of the team up? I mean, we saw that Christian Ramirez, by the way, Christian Ramirez named the April Player of the Month, rightfully so. I mean, hey, it wasn't a great month.
Who else was it going to be? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, the dude's scoring goals. Like, again, I think so far Christian Ramirez has done kind of what you expected him to do. Mm-hmm. You would want him to be more involved. And if you saw in that last game, you saw the ability to get the ball into him in the center, then I think you understand what Christian Ramirez is capable of. And so if you can maximize those chances, if you can turn that into the way that you play, I think the LA Galaxy are fine, because all of a sudden the offense stood up. The penalty kick sort of goes against them, and then hey, that's it. That was over. Oh, short-lived. But that stadium was ready to go with them. That's sort of the weird thing. I feel like this fan base is ready to explode with excitement for the team, and they got it last year. But I think last year half the time we were sort of saying, "Is this team good enough?" The whole deal. And then they win MLS Cup, and now they haven't been able to celebrate that.
I think that more than anything, it makes you really look back and say, man, we kept questioning that team. And that I said it at the end of last season, that team was the rom-com where they, take off the glasses and let that in their hair. It's like, wow, this, bombshell was in front of me the whole time, and I had no idea. I was doubting it. And I think this team this season might be the opposite, where, we're looking at it through Shallow Hal. Remember Shallow Hal?
Yep. I remember Shallow
he's seeing, Gwyneth Paltrow at her peak, but then,
right.
When everyone else around him is seeing the what it is for it really is. So it feels like that's kind of the direction we're going in. The saying about how the fan base wants to explode, the one player that I want to shout out from this game against Portland, Joseph Paintsel, was playing like his shorts were on fire. He was all over the place. He was hungry. He was creating chances. He wanted that goal so bad, almost to his own detriment, where he's dribbling out of bounds and almost trying to do too much on his own. But if there's a guy who deserved to get a goal contribution or a goal on that day to get a win, it was Joseph Paintsel, because he's putting it all out there for the Crest. You talk about all the time, well, play for pride, play for the Crest. Paintsel is out there letting it all out on the field. The results aren't happening. They're not going his way. He's not getting those goal contributions. But I thought he was one that it was unfortunate that he wasn't able to walk away with like a man of the match MVP, level game, because I thought he was working his butt off. And I don't know if that came across on the broadcast or in stadium, but it really seemed like he was putting all that effort in there, and just didn't seem like the other pieces matched his energy or matched kind of what he wanted to do on that day.
I'll say this, I think that Gabriel Peck has worked extremely hard this year. It's been for naught, right? And he's overplayed, I think, in a lot of cases. And I think Greg sort of sees that same thing, that he's not doing the things that made him so successful last year. And I think he sort of thought that he had to carry this whole team on his shoulders, and maybe he did while Paintsel was out. Certainly, they needed more. But Peck isn't putting himself in the right spots, but you're starting to see that he's getting a little more dangerous. The combination with Miki Amane on that right-hand side is starting to build. Again, Christian Ramirez said something, and I think I highlighted it on Monday. I'll highlight it again. He goes, maybe we need to try some different things. Like just throw everything forward in like a sort of unpredictable way. And like it's what the Galaxy do whenever they've scored goals this year, which is sort of just like, okay, don't worry about tactics. Just go try to score goals. Like just throw everything forward, overcommit, do all that stuff. And then he even caught himself. He goes, of course, when you do that, then you open yourself up for the, it's like, yeah, Christian, But
also, if you're losing anyway, hey, let's go old school. Let's dump it into the big man. Get it up to Christian Ramirez, get it up to Miguel Berry, and let's play more direct. I mean, I think we've talked about Greg Vanney and his system, and when it works well. But if the pieces aren't there to play the Greg Vanney system or play Vanney ball, then let's play more direct. Let's not be cute. This is not Berhalter ball or Man City. With Pep Guardiola. This is an MLS team that is without a win. But let's just go, go old school, dump it into the big man. So that's, I can see where Ramirez is coming with. You give up things but the way you're playing now isn't working. So kind of what you're talking about, Vanney throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. I've even, with the way Peck was playing at the beginning of the season, I thought, well, do you move Peck more central? And then maybe he's going to try to, if he's going to try to create, don't create on the wing, create in the middle, and then open up those opportunities on the wing for someone else like a Yamane, or if you want to play, someone else and have a little bit more fun with it. If whatever's happening now isn't working, so I'm up to all ideas. Obviously we've talked about Fagundes in that spot, but I think Peck has the vision and the control. You lose his speed. You want him getting in behind and making those things happen, but I don't think it's insane to think maybe Peck moving more central and pulling some strings. He definitely has the ability.
If you do that, you have to pull Ramirez off, and then now you're pulling off your leading goal scorer. Just FYI,
which is an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all these things. Again, I don't think the Galaxy have to get crazy. Somebody was saying, why don't they play Aude? First of all, as I said on Monday, I'll say it again. I want more Julian Aude, and I think he should start because the Galaxy need more offense, and Aude is more of an offensive threat on the left hand side. So for me, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I made a big deal about scoring from the neutral position, which the Galaxy have only done once this year, which is like when the game is tied, when it's 0-0 and you score, and you can go and advance and actually try to take a lead. The Galaxy have had a lead for 62 minutes this year.
If you do the math, 10 games, that's 900 minutes. So 63 minutes out of 900, not a great percentage.
No, like less than 10%, probably 5-6% somewhere in there, 7%.
That neighborhood. That sounds right.
And so the Galaxy just haven't played with a lead at all this year, and it showed. Them trying to come from behind in a team that is not offensively smart right now is a big problem. And I'm waiting to see how that develops, because I think that they saw a little bit of how they should play against Sporting Kansas City whenever they go and play with that last sort of surge that they had against Portland. But again, you're going to be relying on Marco Reus, and as much, and I thought it was unfair. Dax McCarty, by the way, was talking today, they released the video today. I don't know when he said it, but he was talking about Marco Reus, and he went off basically and said, Marco Reus needs to do more for this team. He has to do more, blah, 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 the whole deal. And I'm like, okay, get it. Sure, 100%. That was what we all thought at the beginning of the year. Marco Reus would have to step in. He was going to have to pick up some slack for Ricky Puig. We all knew that was sort of the plan, and we talked to Will Kuntz about it. Kuntz said the same thing, right? That we expected that Marco Reus would be on the field more. So he's been injured. Since he's come back, we've sort of seen him slowly progress into something that then showed up in the Portland game. So if, I don't mind the criticism, but don't have it come off of his best performance when he was the player that the Galaxy needed him to be. It's like the Dax should have said, oh, well, Marco Reus should play like he played against that second half in Portland. That's what the Galaxy need. Not that he hasn't shown up. I thought that was not true because he's been injured. So let's just at least put that in perspective. And by the way, being
frame
injured
it that way.
Yeah, you frame it.
It's a problem too.
Yeah, that's the bigger problem is that he hasn't been healthy to be on the field. That's the bigger thing. But yeah, go ahead.
And that we went and got a player who we knew had an injury history. And so if you, obviously no one could have predicted what was going to happen to Ricky. But if you want someone who's going to be more durable, Marco Reus, for as much as you may like him as a footballer, he's not known for being the Iron Man who's played every single game for his club. He's known for his injury history. So that's not something that, you probably could expect where you're going to get more minutes from. I think they thought they were going to be able to use him more as a depth piece and spot stardom, and I think it just didn't work out that way. You mentioned something that I had text on the show on Monday, and how
yes.
He seemed a little more gruff and kind of taking that leadership role and holding his teammates accountable, saying we don't hate losing, we need to be better in training. And I'm like, where haven't you been with the team? I know you've been injured, but you're a member of this team, so we can't show up now and then start acting that way. But to your point, if he's injured, he can't be out there during training. He can't be out there barking orders and being in these game situations. So I get it. But at the same time, I think that's the part that this team is missing. Someone with that pedigree who's going to kind of guide them in the right direction. Ricky Puig is that guy with his pedigree from Barcelona. They've had it with, your Zlatans who have come in. They've always had these blue chip superstar, the LA Galaxy way, where you have that type of player who's kind of guided these youngsters and maybe more MLS veterans into that championship mentality, or at least attempting that championship mentality. And right now, I think you look at the roster and you say, well, who's the guy who's the veteran who's been there? It's maybe Maya Yoshida.
It should be.
But at the same time, Yoshida isn't a household name like a Marco Reus,
right,
like a Ricky Puig, like a Zlatan. It's a different tier, and that's nothing, no disrespect against Yoshida. It's just a different level when you come to comparing and kind of holding your teammates, to that accountability. And I'll say this with Marco Reus to kind of put a button on it. At this point, where the Galaxy are, they need him to step up. If he's healthy, if he's not, injured and they don't want to risk it, this is the time to start him. This is the time where he has to, if he has a 90-minute game in him, this is the time to start showing up and playing those 90 minutes, because at the end of the day, you were brought in at a, not a DP salary, but you're taking up a bigger chunk of the salary cap. So that contribution starts to be happening. Marco Reus is no longer a luxury. He needs to be someone who's dependent on and more, a more reliable piece, as opposed to someone who's going to be a death piece. So I'm with you. If we can get more of that, what we saw at the end of the Portland game, but he's going to need to do it for more than 30 minutes. And so I think it's time to rip that Band-Aid off. And, if things happen where he gets injured, I'm sorry. That's you came
that's
to
life.
play the game, and that's life, and that's how it goes. But you have to put the effort out there.
My whole thing is that certainly there is an element of Marco Reus coming on for the last 30 minutes that is attractive, right, in the terms of changing things and being able to do it. But I don't think the Galaxy can wait. I don't think, we've been talking about the Galaxy sort of trying to develop, but the Galaxy have gone past that point now. They can't continue to wait.
The hole's too deep.
The hole's too deep. I mean, everything. I want to go over the schedule that's coming up in May, only because Mitch has a question sort of looking at it. But let's look at this schedule in May, because it is quite the gauntlet. The LA Galaxy traveling away to Sporting Kansas City. That game is on at 4 p.m. on Sunday. MLS Season Pass. That's where you can find it. That is approximately, by the way, 1,357 miles between those two. I think I talked about it on Monday, and I was talking with a gentleman who was from Denmark. He was a reporter from Denmark. He was covering Zonka, and we had a wonderful time. There is nothing more fun than getting to watch a game with somebody who, one, watches football all the time, and two, gets to experience MLS through that and then the whole deal. And so we were sitting there for the national anthem. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like the DJ set's going, like the whole deal. And I go, do you have DJ sets in Denmark? He's like, no, we don't. And I'm like, yeah. I go, it's like a different feel, right? And he goes, yeah, totally. He goes, I like it. He goes, it's actually fun and different. And that's,
I think that's something where there's a little bit of shame with some of the MLS fan base, where they're maybe a little bit embarrassed of how MLS is a little too Americanized, and I think maybe they don't want to show their cards. But I think when you talk to people from Europe and come to check it out, they actually kind of get a kick out of it. It's a little bit silly, it's a little bit over the top, but they appreciate it for what it is. I remember the MLS All-Star Challenge competition where they were having the players. It was the one where they were doing, I think it was when Atletico Madrid and Orlando City, when Nani was with the team at the time. And I think Kaká came back as a legend. And there were some friends, from Portugal who ended up watching the game. And they're like, that is such an American thing to monetize, have a Target sponsored event. But it was a lot of fun to watch, and they enjoyed watching it. So I think MLS fan who wants to be respected on the world stage would say the skills competition is something silly, or DJ set is something that's a little silly. But let's lean into it. Have fun with it. That is uniquely American. It is uniquely MLS. And I think that's okay to have those things to build up their, our own American soccer culture. That's okay to be different. You don't want to be a cookie cutter, only doing the South American chants, only doing, the German chants. You want to kind of create your own unique niche. And I think that's okay to do that. That's my little let's build up American soccer rant signing off.
Well, we were talking about travel, right? Bringing up the travel and how, and he said, I talked to Zonka about it. And, Zonka was saying, the travel here is crazy. And Zonka hasn't really he got to do the long ones, he did get to do the CONCACAF Champions Cup, right? Mm-hmm. And that big trip down to Central America. So he had that. But basically, he was talking to him, and then this reporter, he's like, every game in Denmark, like the furthest game away is like 2.5 hours by bus, like 3 hours by bus, like a bus ride of 3 hours. Yeah. That's the furthest game you're ever going to go. And he sort of said, Zonka said, it makes it really hard to win on the road. Because you're just, the travel takes so much out of you and does all this stuff. Well, now the LA Galaxy get to go on this big, wild, long road trip, right? And again, they'll go to Sporting Kansas City, then they'll come back. Then they're going to go to New York, and I imagine they're going to stay. We haven't seen their travel schedule yet, but that's coming up. So they're going to go to play at Red Bull, and then they're going to stay, and then they're going to go play at Philadelphia, right? And then they're home for El Tráfico, which, I don't know. I'd say there's a 60, 65%, 70% chance that the LA Galaxy come back winless in 13. Then that's going to be the game that they're going to they host El Tráfico after an MLS Cup and all those things, right? I mean,
Are we ready to have this conversation?
No, not yet.
We've had it via text. If God forbid, Galaxy winless, coming into that LAFC match, you said Greg Vanney is safe.
Yeah.
If 13 winless,
right,
losing in El Tráfico at home
to 4-14,
is that enough for Vanney to be gone? Is the seat getting hot enough where that would be the thing that send him over the edge?
This is my problem, is that everybody seems to be like trying to count the days until Greg Vanney leaves. And my whole thing is that play it game by game, because it's going to matter at this point, game by game. Don't count it. Don't listen. I don't know if he makes it to El Tráfico if he doesn't win. And he's going on a 3-game a 3-game road trip right now. And somebody is expecting him to win games. And I'm telling you right now, good luck. Good luck, buddy, because I'll tell you, in MLS, you don't win too many away games, right? It just doesn't happen, especially the further you travel. And none of these are close games. Even Sporting Kansas City's to the middle of the country, and then the next time it's all the way on the East Coast to play 2 games, right? So I'll say take it game by game, because I think that the way in which the games are played, the way in which the games are, if they're lost, that all matters. Everything matters at this point. I am, and Mitch goes, if the Galaxy don't win in May, is Vanney off the team? I don't know that he could make it through the whole month of May without a win. That seems, even for me, I'm sort of like, you got to do something.
And that's what I'm saying. We're believers in Vanney and the system and what he's built and the culture. But if 14 winless, 15 winless,
I don't know though.
Something has to give. You can't fire all the players.
Well, you should. That's really. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Is 2025 done? Are we over? Is it over?
I don't. Again, game by game. Let's take that, because I think it's fun to be on a podcast and say this season's over. Might as well roll it up. Throw Vanney out, clean the front office. Will Kuntz has got to go. You got to take everybody, take their stuff, give them a cardboard box and have them kicked out.
We're not that show. But,
no.
But when so many losses, those thoughts start to linger and something starts to move in that. You move closer in that direction than not.
I also really believe that the Galaxy are set up from top to bottom, academy all the way through the first team, in an actually pretty good spot right now. So it's not just about the first team, which of course will just enrage some people. I got all sorts of trolls in my mentions being like, if this was a big club, you'd never say that. It's like, no, listen, this is the biggest club in Major League Soccer. It is what it is right now. But tell me how many, all the managers that Manchester United have gone through, tell me how well that's worked out, right? And it's like, no.
Who is going to be the magic fix to come in? My counterpoint to you is there's a lot of other clubs who are doing well and doing fine. So there's not, Greg Vanney is not the only person in this country and on this planet who could have a system and that can thrive
Right.
in Southern California. He's not
100%.
the only one with that magic key. So that's my counterpoint to you on that.
No. So Mitch, by the way, says if Galaxy don't win in May, is Vanney off the team, or are we still following the rule of can't complain after a championship for 3 years? Well, first of all, it's only been 10 games after the LA Galaxy have won a championship. It feels like
yes.
forever.
I've always said you get a season, but that's not
a winless
thing.
thing.
Winless. Yeah, winless is a whole different permutation into it. Yeah.
That's sort of the whole thing. I don't know. There's part of me that if I was general manager, I might just start ignoring the losses a little bit and just being like, how do we sort of it's not even so much, trying to find the right combination of things and the whole deal, but how are we setting this up for next year? How is everything sort of setting up? And again, Greg Vanney doesn't have a contract. Let's be very, very clear. That's
the wrinkle, because if you're not going to extend him, then you're kind of in this no man's land where, well, if you're not bringing me back, I don't know. Is he looking for other options? Does he have agents kind of having feelers at different clubs? And so that creates a whole different thing where maybe he decides to move in a different direction if the Galaxy are not going to make it work for him.
100%. Yeah. Maybe he comes out and does the same thing that Cherundolo did, which is, hey, I'm leaving at the end of this, and thank you very much. Yeah, whole deal. Here's the thing. Patrick says, hopefully Beckerman, and he's talking about Dan Beckerman, president of AEG, learned his lesson from the boycott. There has to be accountability. Patrick, we're not in the same, remote level of it. Nobody got caught cheating and then somehow still had a job afterwards, right? And everybody else who basically got cheating was gone almost. There was still some cleanup to do even after that, right? So that's the whole thing. This is not the same. So now it's about what the LA Galaxy can do to right and steady the ship. And, I think I talked a little bit on Monday, but they were looking at possibly doing some transfers before the window closed and that type of thing. And it was it's going to be about fit. How well does it fit, and how well does it fit us, not just now, but next year as well? And I'm not going to do anything, especially with the record the way it is right now. You will do zero to do, you're not going to hurt the team. It's like,
you're not borrowing.
No,
you're not borrowing for that.
No,
against that loan. Yeah, you're saving. You're keeping that stash away to deal with next year. I'm with you on that. You're not going to do any contracts this season or bring anyone with a contract that's going to overhang, that's going to put you at a detriment for next season. I'm with you on that.
Hey, here's the deal. And by the way, David says this is why promotion and relegation is needed in MLS. Teams just get too comfortable. Yeah, the LA Galaxy are real comfortable. They won one MLS Cup and they just decided to mail it in. No, it had nothing to do with the salary cap. So really, David, what you want is unlimited spending. So that way, then there could be a promotion and relegation. So that way, people aren't bound by the equality that is inherent within Major League Soccer, right? Because right now we're looking at a team, Vancouver Whitecaps, probably. At this point, I'm pretty sure they could win the UEFA Champions League. I mean, just the way that they're playing. But best team in the league.
Send Brian White to Europe.
Yeah, just bounced. Miami, right? So they're gone. They will play in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Go look at them last year and tell me that they were a team that you thought was going to be just the best team in the world. They weren't. Right? They were okay. They had some pieces.
Yeah,
right?
and they had pieces and they had moments, and you saw it.
Yep.
If you watch their playoff series against LAFC, obviously with the rooting interest against the rivals,
right.
Like, man, I hope Vancouver looks like they can get it done. So you saw pieces, and that goes back to your 2023 should have been the playoff year where they got close, and then 2024 capped it. Vancouver, that was their season last year where they had pieces, they got close. They have talent, and now it's just what's the part that's going to put them over the edge this season.
And let's be fair, new coach, right? Bring in a new coach, did the whole thing, so they had that. But they also got to retain most of their players from last year. They are a returning team that was basically like, we like all the pieces that we have. Let's see if we can form them into a different thing. I would say the Galaxy, I would say that the LA Galaxy are not in that position where they don't like all the pieces that they have right now. And granted, they are responsible for those pieces, right? A lot of them, but. When you look at somebody like Lucas Sanabria, that's somebody who you probably wanted to hit harder than has hit so far. But again, I mean, I pointed out that Dejan Joveljic came in whenever he joined, and he joined, I think, in the summertime, right? And came in and had the whole thing. So, he got, I forget how many minutes, but he only had 2 goals basically down the whole stretch of the whole thing. And everybody was like, oh, okay. And then it was the next season where he started scoring goals in the late times, and you're sort of like, oh, okay. And then he got starts. and everybody was like, he can't start. Don't start.
And he
What are you
wasn't
doing?
scoring,
Yeah, and he
yes.
wasn't scoring. They're like, don't start him. He's not. You can't start. And then he becomes. The bottom line is that there has to be, with the reset that happened with the U22s. Especially Jovalic, you have to give those guys time. So, everybody's worried about Nascimento, and they're like, "What?" And by the way, you were correct, like saying, "I don't think I've seen that guy run yet." Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure he has legs. Yeah, I don't know that I've seen him work. I haven't seen him kick a ball. I don't know what his leg strength is. I don't know if he has any, on this, techers type of skills to beat a defender 1v1. We just haven't seen it, and so I'm of the opinion, as of right now, if Nascimento is on a loan at the end of the season, hey, we tried it. Let's go look for another U22 to bring in as of right now. That doesn't mean that he can't impress and figure some things out and with the right situation. But right now, he's not. And you're right. When Jovalic first got his starts, he was not setting the world on fire. And even when he was getting starts going into the 2024 season, we're thinking, is Jovalic really the guy? Should they have gone and got a quote unquote real number 9? Is he going to be able to do it? And he went out there and he figured it out. So I think there is a development that we do need to be patient with, but I think it is also fair to say right now it doesn't look great.
Yeah. Again, I think David's saying, go out and get Pep Guardiola. Can you imagine Pep coming to MLS and then being like, you can't spend any money on players? Sorry. That's not going to work. You can't do that. Or Jurgen Klopp, like the whole it's a foreign idea. And why would they ever even approach Major League Soccer with the handcuffs that usually are associated with it on those things? So anyway, it's one of those things where we continue to watch how the LA Galaxy try to develop. It's one of those things where we watch the LA Galaxy and how they're trying to twist and turn things. And there's pressure on every single person who is in that. There's pressure on Greg Vanney. There's pressure on all the players. There's pressure on everybody. Don't think, by the way, the pressure is actually one of those things that's starting to get to be a problem, right? Because you go so many winless, the whole deal, like you're not going to make it.
Go back
right?
to that.
Yeah.
Go back to that Paintsville situation I'm describing. It seemed like he put too much of that game on his shoulders, and we've seen it from Peck earlier. So I think when you're scoring and everything's flying high, you play a little bit more relaxed. But when you're not, things get a little tighter. You start dribbling over the end line and you take a little bit of an extra touch. Those things all start to build once that pressure keeps building. So that's something to keep an eye on.
We'll see how that goes. It's AAPI Heritage Month, Asian American and Pacific Islander Month, Heritage Month here in the United States. One thing that was sort of announced, and the LA Galaxy have a nice little video of it, is that Maya Yoshida will be on the A100 list. That's the list of most impactful Asian Pacific leaders, and this is the 100 most influential Asian Pacific leaders who have made significant contributions to culture and society, and Maya will be in there as a transformational leader. So congratulations to Maya Yoshida on there. This team seemed pretty jazzed about that whole thing. So excited to sort of see, him be named on that list and where he is. But Maya Yoshida is a big deal, and sometimes we forget how big of a deal Maya Yoshida can be. And it's good that you saw him play in the Austin game. It's good that he should be back in the starting lineup, I would imagine, coming up for the Sporting Kansas City game. The LA Galaxy will have a press conference tomorrow, Friday, that will sort of be our last check-in before they will take off. They travel on Saturday to play on Sunday. So that's sort of where it is. Again, they need to get out of these Sunday games, Eric, because Friday does me no good on the podcast.
Yeah, and also the Sunday game, there's nothing worse than a Sunday loss in the afternoon, and I'm 2 hours ahead, so I get to be closer to bedtime when these losses happen. But a Sunday afternoon loss, you just kind of, well, do I just go to bed at 7 o'clock? I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm sad. Do I just call it a night? And so you want to end on a high and kind of go into the week feeling good, as opposed to the opposite. I want to go back to Yoshida and AAPI month and kind of that representation and what it means. As someone who, obviously with my Portuguese culture and seeing players who fit that mold and kind of latching onto it, I think there's an importance to that, to see, people who, of Asian descent or of Japanese descent, seeing Maya Yoshida, seeing someone like Miki Yamane, and having those players where you gravitate towards. And I think that's what brings in the fan base. That's like, hey, Maya Yoshida used to play here. I went to some Galaxy games, and then that's how you get fans for life. So I think with these months, and you always think, well, how is it connected to the Galaxy? Why are they making these posts or these comments? And this is why, because while Yoshida is someone who's not going to be here for 10 years, the impact that he has on the fan base and bringing people in, he could bring in fans who are going to be here much longer than Yoshida does, and he could be the kind of the tip of that iceberg. So I do love to see, when they honor those players with their cultures and their backgrounds, because from a fan perspective, people see themselves and like to have that pride from their heritage, and to see that represented there and have the Galaxy talking about it and having, Yoshida be proud of that accomplishment, kudos to them for making that work.
Another thing for the LA Galaxy, they were away to go see the Lakers play last night. Unfortunately,
speaking of teams that can't win a game at home,
there you go. I don't know what it says that the winless LA Galaxy went to go see the Lakers play and then the Lakers lost. I will leave the connections to you. But no, they were out and about. But it's always good to see the team at their team outings, sort of doing that whole thing. Again, looking at the schedule, and we only got even as far as LAFC, but there's a game right after that's down at San Diego, right? I mean,
a revenge game.
Yeah, 100% a revenge game. Not only that, Eric, but really, this is breaking news more than it should be. The train will not be running all the way down there for these games, so don't plan on taking the train. They're doing. San Clemente has problems with the train because the track is right on the ocean and right next to cliffs, and the cliffs have been eroding and then coming down on the tracks and the whole deal. So it's a whole Orange County Transit thing.
That's a bummer. I used to live in Winter Park next to the train that would go all the way down to Oceanside, and so that's a bummer to hear that that train's not working as well anymore.
I would love to know. I would imagine they're still bringing it up to a certain point, so you get on the bus and you drive down, then you hop back on the train again. But that's not what you want to do. You want to take the train all the way down. So that's something to keep in mind if you're planning on heading down for that game. I think there's some buses being organized by some of it. And then the Galaxy close out the end of the month with, midweek weekend game here. So it'll be LA Galaxy hosting San Jose. I would just like to point out, playing LAFC, rival, San Diego, rival, San Jose, rival, 3 games in a row against all the California.
Cup.
Yeah.
Do we have an official Cali
I don't
Cup?
know. I don't know that anybody has started the Twitter account.
I'm
right?
gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm gonna start an account. We're gonna make it a thing. So I know supporters groups in San Jose have made things difficult for a California Cup, but it's time. We put those things aside. We need to start keeping. There's the Copa Tejas here with Austin and Houston and Dallas. California deserves the respect, and if it takes a guy who's currently living in Texas to make it happen, we're going to make this happen.
100%. There's a guy who does LA Galaxy history who lives in the UK. I mean, it's fine. It's wherever you want to be. Yeah, the whole deal. So that is the month. The Galaxy will be on the road for 4 games and home for 3 games. So 7 games, all league games. I think it would be real hard to imagine anybody still has a job if the LA Galaxy are winless at the end of the month, but we will certainly see how that all goes down. I think this podcast might get canceled at that point too. Like, it's just everything's going to be over if that continues.
Well, and that's what we're saying. I think the AI is the models are getting strong enough to where, when they're winless, there's enough data in here where we can just repeat the same talking points. And then if they're doing well, we just cut back into 2024, get those shows, kind of get our voice correction done. So yeah, you're right. At some point, if this gets so bad, we're just going to have to get the auto plays and, start getting reruns. I know that's not your thing, but maybe we'll make it work.
Just hit, again, just get AI to do it at this
Enhance.
point. It would be way more entertaining than us talking about the same problems. Could the Galaxy do something different in this game? So that way we have something to talk about. Like, and that doesn't even mean
Give
win.
Me a new formation.
Yeah.
Throw Harry Maguire on the wing. Let's get weird.
Greg just has to just throw something strange in there so that way we have an hour to talk about it. That's all really we're asking
Julian
for. Julian
Aude center forward.
Something
weird. Yeah.
Giassi Zardes right back. See, there's ways that you can fix this. There's ways that you can do it. But yeah, so that's where we sort of stand. Now let's get ready for this game because it is an interesting one. We were sort of talking about it beforehand and we were joking about it. Eric, these are not very good teams right now.
No.
Sporting Kansas City, which of course is Dejan Jovelic's team. So the Galaxy will be playing against him. So hat trick from Jovelic. So the Galaxy will have to score 4 in order to win. That game's coming up at 4 p.m. on Sunday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, of course, also that day. So something to keep in mind for this particular game. Eric, any particular thoughts on Sporting Kansas City and LA Galaxy besides a battle for the absolute bottom of this freaking table that is going on right now?
Yeah, to me, this is the visiting our dear friend Dejan Jovelic that's to me is the whole narrative behind this game. With how beloved he became to the fan base over the last 4 years with the team, and having no one wanting to see him go after scoring the game-winning goal on MLS Cup, that to me is going to be what's overhanging this game. I watched a clip of him from the Sporting Kansas City website where he was talking about how is he feeling going into this match. He answered it just like you would expect Dejan Joveljic to answer, say this is the same as every game. But as the interview kept going on, he said, but it will be special. I'm not going to lie. It is going to be special to see, my old teammates who I was there and I won a trophy with. But he said he's in Sporting Kansas City now. He's there to win. He's there to score. But he has that in the back of the head. And if you've watched Dejan Joveljic over the past 3-4 seasons, you know that guy likes to have a chip on his shoulder and to have his motivation. This is the guy who said in a post-game interview, I am the future of the LA Galaxy. So do not think that he does not have that extra little chip on his shoulder, that he's going to come into this game extra motivated than maybe he already is. He's a professional. He's going to go at it like he does every game, but he may have just that little extra fire underneath him to try to score against his former team who let him go. Not to the fault of the team or to him, but that's there for sure.
Something I had heard, and this was like totally, this is not confirmed, but I'll at least put it out there because I can't remember whether or not it's true or not or anything else. But I believe the Galaxy might even get him his ring at this particular game, right? They'll
I would
bring
imagine
the ring.
when SKC comes to...
Maybe that would be better.
I would think
that's when you think it would do it? Okay.
That way the home crowd can appreciate him. That's the way I would do it. And they're a Western Conference team. That makes sense to me, is to do it when he comes to us.
Maybe that makes more sense. I think you're right. But anyway, we'll sort of see. Again, they didn't. The Galaxy let him go to Sporting Kansas. It was sort of like, hey, go there. The whole deal. The whole deal. By the way, I just tried to light myself on fire. That was me playing with the lighter.
That's all we need.
I've been playing with it the whole time, and I finally just zapped myself in the hand. So don't do that. I was just going to suggest.
Yeah. This is why I keep this away from my kids.
It's like a taser.
They absolutely, the first thing they did was, let me go to my sister, let me go to my brother, and see what this thing can do.
Can you come take mine away from me too? I'm just gonna set it over here. My wife is gonna have like me check that out and check it back in. She's gonna be like, you have to sign on the list, the whole deal.
A lockbox.
By the way, I would love to see my face whenever that happened, because I was like, I'm gonna die. This is it. This is how it goes. But no, I mean, it seems like they left on good terms, because really the Galaxy let him go. They knew he deserved more money. They knew that he could make money, and life-changing money. Yeah, that was the whole thing. So I'm not saying that means he's going to play easy. He's going to want to score on him 100%.
He wants to say, hey, you could have had this if we made different roster moves and shipped a DP out to make sure that you kept me. That's there. That's a real thing.
He's like, you should have got rid of Gabriel Peck. And, what are you guys thinking?
And if we laugh, but Dejan absolutely believes that that's true. That
100%.
Get rid of Ricky. Make me the next. He's hurt. What do you need him for? Go send him somewhere else. Dejan absolutely believes that to his heart. I believe that to be true.
Tim, by the way, $5 super chat. Hi, Josh and Eric. If you guys were the manager, what are the changes you would do to the lineup and strategy to turn the team around? Mine is really simple. I would just put Julian Aude on that left backside, and then I'd start Marco Reus for this particular game. That wouldn't be always the choice, by the way. Just in this game, I would start Marco Reus because I think it's time to sort of try that. And then I would probably keep a lot of things the same. I would want to get Mauricio Cuevas into the game earlier rather than later, and however I end up doing that, whether I even pull out like a central midfielder in order to put him somewhere where he can whip crosses in, because I think that we saw he is one of the few Galaxy players who can whip crosses in. I would make everybody do 100 push-ups, and by the way, in the middle of a game, if they lobbed a high ball to Gabriel Peck, right? Like if Gabriel Peck has to turn around with his back to goal to bring the ball down, you have to do 100 push-ups in the game.
Something went wrong. Yeah. And then, keep doing them.
Yeah, keep going.
The ball will eventually come back.
Yeah, don't worry.
You're going to have to get up and hustle.
Don't worry. We'll wait for you, buddy. Go ahead.
But I'll answer Tim's question. I kind of tipped my hand a little bit earlier about playing Gabriel Peck more centrally. I think when you need goals and you have someone who's as talented as he is, I kind of like a meld of my idea and your idea, where you put a Mickey Yamane up in the wing position or a Julian Aude in the wing position, and then bring in a Cuevas on defense or Nelson on defense, and then that way you could have Peck more central, and then you're more likely to get goals with that. Instead of giving up your defense, just put one of your defenders who's your wing back style, put him officially on the wing. I think that worked with Guillermo Barros-Schelotto, he had moved Julian Araujo for one of the El Traficos. He played him as a midfielder instead of a defender, and then we have that Zlatan goal where he chipped it over or dinked it over a defender's head and had hit the volley. So I think we're at the point in the season when I wouldn't be shocked if we start to see some experimenting.
Yeah, surprisingly, the LA Galaxy have not won a lot in Kansas City, right? That's something that has been well documented, but they did win last year in Kansas City 3-2. So now,
and that was a turning point game. That was a game where we said, this team is different. This team has something. So maybe this is the place where they get the mojo back.
No, I'm done. You can't say that. Where there is no, they can't until they do it. They're just going to have to do it. No, yeah, the candle's lit, the whole deal. That's fine. The sage has been, that's the Galaxy really need to desage the plane and like all their what do they get? Jersey Mike's. They need to sage all their Jersey Mike sandwiches before, because maybe that's it. Maybe they need to change it up.
Maybe they need to just douse themselves Mike's way. Just go full tomatoes, lettuce, olive oil, vinegar, make it all work.
It's got to be something. Do they all like they were going blonde at the beginning of the season? Do they all go like redhead? Like, do they need to like?
Do you go pink? Do you go blue? Yeah.
There's something needs to change.
Mother's Day, yeah, everyone go pink. I think that's the way.
So surprisingly enough, actually looking back and seeing the Galaxy win last year, and you're sort of saying, okay, but then you could go like all the way down to, oh, that's right, it was 2019 before the LA Galaxy had a win in Sporting Kansas City. So it doesn't happen very often, and it just happened last year in front of 18,102 people. It's a very difficult place to play. The Galaxy will be tired from the travel and all the stuff that they have to do, and then they have to play against usually a field that's pretty good. The good news is Johnny Russell plays for RSL now, so I think that's good news.
That's what I'm looking at. Is he was my MLS crush for so long, and he was the heartbeat of SKC. So it almost, not to say that they're doing this, but it almost seems like SKC is getting rid of their players, getting what they can, and maybe they've packed up everything and they're putting all their eggs in the 2026 basket, getting rid of Russell. Willie Agata is another player who they got rid of, also to RSL. So it makes me curious at what RSL last season kind of fizzled. So maybe they're going to get these MLS vets to make a run here with how Diego Luna is playing. But I'm very happy to see Johnny Russell and Willie Agata not on the SKC lineup, because there's players who have historically made the Galaxy pay. And
still some names up there. Solomonov has been Salawi, is Jovalic up there. I mean, the 6.9s, those are 7s. I'll just round them up. Those are 7s. So put them in the green. They're like right there, right? So that's actually a pretty good front line for them in terms of how they've been playing. That's not bad. I think that they have more problems on the defense, probably similar to, I would say similar to the LA Galaxy, except the LA Galaxy haven't been scoring goals. I think Sporting Kansas City probably has a little bit of an advantage on the offensive side, but a bunch of problems on the defensive side. So if you're looking for a good or pretty game, this ain't it. This is not that game. This is going to be ugly, and it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to stem off of like a big mistake. That's the only thing. It's not going to be a little mistake. It's going to be a big mistake. Like a little mistake was Parente getting the ball picked off of his foot for the third goal, right? Like
a howler. This is like a howler and someone slipping.
Yes.
Something silly. I'm with you on that. I'm a believer in just kind of a historical precedent, whether who's on the roster or who's not on the roster. Just when two teams meet up, there's weird things happen. Just like when there's an El Trafico, it doesn't matter what the rosters are like. El Traficos are just always goal fests, and weird things happen. I think when the LA Galaxy plays Sporting Kansas City, we usually see snoozers. I remember one of the most boring games, and I think we've had this conversation, I've ever seen, was Sporting Kansas City versus the LA Galaxy to a 0-0 draw at Dignity Health Sports Park. I want to say it was the 2018, 2017.
2016. 2016 was 0-0.
Oh, it was one of the worst games we've ever seen. So with a 27th place and a 30th place team going at each other, I would not be shocked if this was a snoozer. I'm sure when we get to D ratings, we'll talk about the over and the under, and I think you can kind of guess where we're going to suggest you put your money if you're a betting person.
Yeah, SKC coming off a loss to Cincinnati. Cincinnati starting to sort of pick up where they left. It's starting to feel like they're good. I mean,
they're in the Shield.
Denke is a real player, right? Like, and he's fun to watch, that type of thing. So, what you can take from that is they were on the road and they lost, but it was a close game. In that it was only 2-1, but it was also 2-0 for most of that game until the 90th minute, right? So that was a pretty comprehensive win by Cincinnati. I'll say this: I looked at the comparison just in terms of possession, and both teams are right around 53%. I mean, so this is both teams like to have the ball and then apparently can't do anything with it. That's what I get.
That's kind of what I'm seeing from this LA Galaxy team. Also, is I'm a believer in you got to buy a ticket to win the lotto, and it just seems like this team is not interested in buying a ticket. It seems like they want to get that perfect moment. And that's kind of where I go back to what Christian Ramirez was saying is we need to be more direct, play it in to the big man up front. I think you see players like Peck, like Paintsill, trying to get their way in and get to the end line and do that perfect cutback where, at this point in the season where the goals aren't happening, let's take some shots. Let's get some deflections, get some rebounds, making things happen. It's not pretty. It's not probably how they're designed to play. But at this point in the season, when you're struggling for goals, let's start buying some lotto tickets. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky.
Yes.
I think they're at that point in the season where they need to let loose. And especially when you're playing against a team who is kind of sitting near you in the standings where, mistakes could be the difference in this game. A deflection could very well be the thing that decides this game. A goalie coughing one up, from a hard shot where your player just, taps one in, and Ramirez is just right there to tap it in after, the goalie drops it. That could be the type of moment that swings this game. So the Galaxy, I think, needs to stop trying for perfection and just trying to get good happening, and then maybe good things will start to happen after that.
Yeah, scoring first would be a nice change, as we always talk about. Let's talk about D ratings, please.
All right, D ratings. Sorry, I had to scroll a little bit here. So again, D ratings has the LA Galaxy with a 29.8% chance to win, and then Sporting Kansas City with a 43.6% chance to win, and then a 26.6% chance for a draw. If you're looking at the money line analysis here, you had the LA Galaxy at plus 260 with the opening line. Right now, kind of still sitting around that, and then SKC at plus 100. So SKC is the favorite there. The draw at plus 265. You and I were saying it, a 0-0 draw, a 1-1 with two silly goals.
Right.
A draw could be where you make your money here. The over-under is set at 3 goals. Bet the under. We're not getting more than 3 goals in this game. I think you're getting a 1-1, maybe a 2-1 if something silly happens. So again, my recommendation, not a financial advisor, but again, betting the under seems a little tasty here.
I'll say this. And I think it's an interesting take. As much as the LA Galaxy are licking their chops, saying, "Yeah, this is a team that's close to us and that we can take. Like we can be better than this team." Sporting Kansas City is over there going, "This is a team at the bottom of the table. This is yeah." So and we're at home. We got this, right? The whole deal. So there's going to be high confidence, I think, on both teams whenever they start, and then we'll see who imposes their will. Although this feels like a game that's not going to have an imposition of will. It's going to be one that falters in the big moment, and so we'll see what that ends up happening. So I want to get to a couple super chats, and then we can get our predictions. Let's see. Adam asks, "Who is the best MLS coach ever?" Who do you think? This is Crazy's son. Yeah.
It's Bruce Arena. That seems he has
it's
trophies
Bruce
with multiple teams.
It's Bruce. It's Siggy. And Peter Vermees was probably in that for a while too. I know right now the history is going to look a lot more kind on Peter Vermees than this moment right now. Certainly with what he was able to do, but it's Bruce, it's Siggy. It's probably Bruce at the number 1, and I believe that.
Bruce. I think Bruce is the easy number 1. Siggy is the only other one that came to mind,
right?
Who goes with multiple teams and has multiple cups, and no one wants to hear it right now. But Greg Vanney is going to be in that conversation, winning what he did in Toronto and then also having a cup in LA. He's going to be in that conversation somewhere down the line when it starts happening.
Especially whenever he comes back next year and wins another MLS Cup, right, in 2026.
2026,
that's right. That's the year. That's everything. Another $5 super chat is, who does Ricky replace when he returns? What do you think? It's Parente. It's 100% Parente all day long, every long. And then you can look at, by the way, you don't change much whenever Ricky comes back. Ricky's going to be there. Yeah.
My answer, you know who Ricky replaces when he returns? Whoever the F he wants, because we need him on this field. So if he wants whoever he wants to
John McCarthy,
that's
fine.
Let Ricky play goalie and have him, play Jorge Campos, go with it. So again, to me, it doesn't matter. I'm with you. It is going to be Parente. seeing how it goes. Maybe it's Fagundes, the way things have been going.
Yep.
That way you have him as the depth piece coming off the bench with that experience, and him coming in late in games is going to be more dangerous. But, I'd be excited whenever he gets back on the field, and hopefully that's sooner more than later. But I know you don't want to rush him back, but man, do we miss him.
I saw somebody say, well, like if the Galaxy are out of it, do you even have Ricky play meaningless games? Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
get him in as soon as you
Make
can.
him feel comfortable.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's got a mental repair that is going to take much longer than the physical repair, and he's got to feel like he's 100%. So predictions guaranteed to be wrong. Let's see. Who went first last time? Was it you last time?
I think I went first.
Okay,
last time,
I'll go
let
first
you
this time.
Do the honors.
LA Galaxy lose 2-0. No goals for the LA
no
Galaxy.
goals.
Yeah, there's zero.
Okay.
I told you I told everybody I will not pick them to win.
wrong.
You have to
Yeah.
prove me wrong. I am done. By the way, that means nothing. Like in general, that doesn't mean much. I'm just saying you have to prove me wrong at this point. I want you to show me. All right, you can talk. Yeah, I want you to show me. So go ahead.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to say I just don't know how to quit you, LA Galaxy. I can't do it. I think when you have the 14th and 15th place team to calm you down on a Sunday afternoon so you can go to bed exhausted, that way you're fully refreshed for the work week. I think we're not in for an exciting game, but I do think the Galaxy can get a point. I think Dayon is going to get his goal. It's probably going to be early, and then somehow they fight back like they have all season long, and they get a weird, Julian Aude deflection header off of a defender's knee, and then they score in the 91st minute to tie the game when they probably had no business winning that game. And we're going to say, see, they were close, they tied. And then that way we could just rinse and repeat next week's episode. But again, I don't think they're going in there stealing 3, but I think with SKC not having a stellar season and kind of trying to figure some things out with a new coach and with some big pieces gone, I think there's a point to be stolen there.
Yeah, I again, just looking at these two. By the way, if the LA Galaxy won this game, they still wouldn't jump over Sporting Kansas City. I just
still
need to point
a
that
point short.
out.
Yep.
They're still a point short. I just want everybody to be fully prepared. Should there be a win, the Galaxy will remain exactly where they are, and currently at 0.3 points per game. That's something that you want to try to avoid, I would imagine. Vancouver up there with 23 points. Vancouver has 20 more points than the LA Galaxy at this point. I'd just like to point that out. And then the LA
they're
Galaxy.
Out of the Shield race?
Yeah, I think they're out of the
Must-win
Shield race.
game?
Yeah, I think they're out. Yeah, if they want to win the Shield, yeah, they probably got to start winning. And then just still 10 points out of ninth. Okay, that doesn't mean anything until the Galaxy win a game. We don't have to worry about that. There's no playoff talk. There's no playoffs until the Galaxy win a game. 100%. That's it.
I'll say this. Now that we know that there's some people in the front office on the roster listening to the show, I'm saying season's over. It's over. Pack it up. Cancel your Apple subscriptions. If you want to prove me wrong, right now the burden of proof is on you.
That's right.
Right now, winless in 10, the reasonable take is that the season is over. So if you wanted to play this clip back and in October and say, man, this guy got it all wrong, the Galaxy kind of dunked in his face, prove me wrong. Now's the time. There's no better time to start a winning streak than this Sunday.
Galaxy on a 10-game winless streak. Could it be 11 after the Sporting Kansas City game? Josh says no. Or Josh says yes, he will.
Yes.
It will be
Still
11.
winless.
Yeah,
I say
still
yes
winless.
also with a
yeah,
1-1 draw.
you do as well. This show is now firmly on the stays winless game. And then they'll go for the MLS Cup rematch coming up. So, again, the LA Galaxy taking on Sporting Kansas City coming up on Sunday, May 4th. That game on MLS Season Pass. 4 p.m. is your TV start time. 4:10 p.m. is your kickoff time. You can watch that on MLS Season Pass. That's what we have. Eric, anything else you'd like to get to before we get out of here?
No, just let's do something different. Give us something to talk about next week. That's all I'm asking.
Please, anything different. We're ready. We're willing. We want to watch. If the Galaxy are going to win this game, I'll say that Marco Reus has to have a pretty big game. And I think that guys like Joseph Paintsel and Gabriel Peck, there's a scenario in my mind, at least, Eric, where the Galaxy could score 4 or 5 goals in a game, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Where has that been?" Right?
Well,
like there is a scenario that I could, if you saw that second half against Portland, you're like, "Oh, they do know how to score goals." Oh, okay.
Well, that's the part that makes you want to slam your head on the desk. Where was this happening? It was there. The shots went wide. They hit the post. They, dribbled out of the movement was there. It just wasn't working before. So I think that's the frustrating thing is I'm with you. If that happened, would I be shocked? No, I don't think I'd say, man, they really turned things around. No, they did the same thing. It just finally the ball moved in the right direction and the players hit it just right. So that's where I'm going with it. So what a time to be alive at the end of the day.
100%. All right, Eric, tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
All right, you can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at HammerEV9. That's HammerEV and the number 9.
Looking for me on all socials at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com and, of course, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, all those places you can get a podcast is where you, of course, can find us. All right. So, LA Galaxy taking on Sporting Kansas City coming up on Sunday at 4 p.m. We will be back on Monday night. I believe the Panda will be back as well. And we'll actually have a good show there for you on a Monday night. All right. For Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening to our little Corner of the Galaxy. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye.